dear Prime Minister Meloni, Prime Minister Frederiksen, and leaders of the European nations. I am addressing you today in direct response to the joint letter signed by 22 European leaders and addressed to the European Commission and the European Council regarding the situation in Spain and its European borders. I am Jorge Serrano Paradinas. I am the coordinator of a citizen-led legislative initiative that achieved the extraordinary regularization of undocumented migrants in Spain. I address you because your recent letter to the Commission heavily distorts the reality of my country, the nature of our laws, and the true causes of the security crisis that we have recently witnessed in Ceuta. You have misdiagnosed the problem, and by doing so, you have directly fallen into a geopolitical trap. First and foremost, you must understand a crucial political fact. This regularization was not driven by Pedro Sánchez or his government. They blocked it in Congress for 5 years until social pressure forced its approval. This law was not born in a government office. It was achieved through the constant, determined, and brave pressure of Spanish civil society. It was pushed forward by a historic mobilization of over 700,000 citizens, backed by more than 1,000 social organizations from across the entire political and ideological spectrum, and made possible by 17,000 volunteers who spent an entire year gathering signatures in our streets. It was this enormous social pressure that forced a vote in Parliament and its approval by an unprecedented majority, 310 votes in favour and only 33 against. This regularization is therefore a mandate of the Spanish people, not a top-down political strategy. Your letter claims that Spain's regularization process acts as a pull factor for illegal border crossings. This is technically, legally, and logically false. This extraordinary regularization, approved in Spain, is strictly retroactive. It applies exclusively to people who proved they were already living, working, and rooted in our society prior to the end of 2025. It grants absolutely zero rights to anyone crossing illegally the border today. Therefore, it does not attract new illegal migration, quite the opposite, because it is an extraordinary and exceptional mechanism. It sends a clear deterrent signal. Furthermore, the events in Ceuta proves this point. The vast majority of those who crossed the border were Moroccan citizens who have already returned home voluntarily. This was not the natural flow of sub-Saharan migrants seeking a new life. This was a temporary, induced, and controlled movement. Let us be honest about what has just happened in Ceuta. Spain's regularization did not cause the crossings. Europe has not suffered a migration crisis in Ceuta. Europe has suffered an attack on its territorial sovereignty. The Moroccan authorities purposefully opened the gates, filtering the entry of their own citizens while blocking sub-Saharan migrants. This was a calculated political move to send a message to Europe regarding their historical ambitions over this ancient, historical Spanish territory, which has been Spanish since 1580. A political maneuver that has tragically claimed the lives of more than 100 people. This is not the first time the Moroccan government has used its civilians as a tool to satisfy its territorial ambitions. In 1975, 350,000 Moroccan citizens invaded Western Sahara, which until then had been Spanish territory. But there are more recent examples. In May 17, 2021, only 5 years ago, nearly 20,000 people entered Ceuta after Moroccan police physically and deliberately opened the gates in the border. This resulted in a bilateral crisis between the Spanish and Moroccan governments, which led months later to the Spanish government formally endorsing Morocco's proposal to integrate Western Sahara into Moroccan territory. This maneuver worked for Morocco. Since then, relations between the Spanish government and Algeria, the main advocate for an independent Sahara, were deeply strained until July 20th, only a few days ago, when the Spanish Prime Minister visited Algeria, and the Treaty of Friendship with Algeria was restored. Morocco did not like this. International analysts agree that the current crisis in Ceuta is Morocco's reaction to the fear that Spain will back down on its position regarding Western Sahara. The approval of the Spanish Supreme Court's ruling prohibiting the summary return of people who swam across the border is the pretext that Moroccan government was needing to repeat the 2021 action. But there was more. This last maneuver in Ceuta did not happen in a vacuum. It was encouraged by external geopolitical players. On July 15, 2026, the United States House of Representatives passed a budget package that, through a House report, described Ceuta and Melilla as Spanish-administered cities within Moroccan territory, and backed diplomatic efforts regarding the future status. Today, this crisis is also being instrumentalized across the Atlantic for domestic electoral gains, using images of this invasion to scare American voters. By blaming Spain's regularization, you are ignoring the real aggressor. You are blaming the victim of a geopolitical blackmail, and by threatening to break Schengen agreement, as you did, you are doing exactly what the enemies of a united Europe want you to do. You're fracturing our union from within. Leaders of Europe, your letter represents a double disloyalty to Spain and to Europe. You fail to recognize an attack on European borders, and you abandon the core values that founded our union. Europe must defend its external borders, of course, with firmness, but as well managing its internal reality with pragmatism and human dignity. The people we regularized in Spain were already here. They harvest our food and your food, care for our elders, build our infrastructure. Bringing them out of the shadow economy was a matter of justice and economic sense. If you truly want to give a strong, unified response to those who instrumentalize human beings against us, follow the example of the Spanish society. Be brave. Regularize your undocumented workers who are already part of your society and your economies. Show the world that Europe cannot be blackmailed because our internal stability relies on human rights, integration, and the rule of law. Do not fall into this geopolitical trap. Do not let external powers dictate our internal policies. Protect our borders, of course, but protect as well our principles. Thank you.